I've seen things you people wouldn't believe.
You sit down, you old son of a bitch!
You can go suck a fuck.
Oh, please tell me, Elizabeth, how exactly does one suck a fuck? There's nothing here for me! The town is dying, the mine is dying, everybody knows it here but you! I don't give a goddamn fuck that you shot him! I'm glad that you shot him! I'm fucking glad that he's dead!
Are you Louis Spoon?
Yes, I'm Lou.
You live here?
Yes, that's right.
Yeah, we come inside.
Why?
Why not?
You want to?
Yes.
I don't care.
Wonderful.
All right, welcome back, everyone, to episode number 28 of the Best Thing We've Seen podcast. My name is Flo.
And I am Gabe. How are you?
How are you doing, man?
Dude, I'm doing
What
fine.
an occasion this is, right?
It is, dude. It's like the episode I've been looking forward to.
Yes. I mean, we've had a couple of special episodes so far, right? This
like
must be number
7,
right?
Yeah.
4 times 7 is 28. Very good. Very good.
We can do math.
Yeah. Well, basic math, yeah. But, yeah, if you're new to this show, basically, every 4 episodes, we don't talk about the best thing that we've seen all week, but we talk about the best thing that we've seen from one person, like his or her's entire career. And we've had this person planned for basically since we started the podcast, because this is someone that we're both very big fans of. Would you say that he's your favorite actor?
I think it's always changing, but I think he's like definitely in the top 3. And rewatching and watching a couple of new films from this person just reminded me of how amazing this person's career is. And pretty much every movie that I see him in is just great.
Yeah.
Which made this list incredibly hard to put together. I don't know how you felt putting your list together, but
It was very tough, yeah.
I've never had so many honorable mentions and so many things that I should have been on this list, but didn't quite make it, and things that are like, I don't know, number 4 and 5 or something like that. And most of the list is pretty interchangeable at times, because it's just how you look at the things, like how awesome is the film, how awesome is he in this.
Yeah.
I don't know, so many little things, and I don't know. I think he's also one of the actors we've seen most films of, both of us.
Well, it was interesting because, and we spoke about it on previous episodes as well. There were some big things that I was missing as well. And I got around to watching. I think I watched 4 things in preparation for this.
4 new things.
4 new things, yes.
Right.
I didn't get to rewatch anything, so you might have to help me out on some of the movies or things we talk about, because obviously the concept of the show, we might not only talk about films. We might only talk about films as well, but we could also be talking about some shows that this person was a part of, or even some YouTube videos. I don't know. And obviously, Gabe and I, we have never, we haven't discussed our list beforehand, so we don't know what the other person will choose. And obviously, we're going to count down the top 10 things we've seen, and once we get to that number 1 spot, that is sort of the best thing that we've seen from that person. And I mean, I have an idea of what your top. I'm going to go as I might know your number 1. But I don't know. Maybe things have changed over the years.
Maybe.
I don't know. Yeah,
I have to say, I've watched 2 new things for this list, and
Okay.
I've rewatched a ton.
Okay.
And pretty much every film on this list that I have right here is something that I watched new or rewatched in like the last 7 days, except for maybe 2 things. So I've watched quite a bit, and it just reminded me of a couple of things that I completely forgot about, and just reminded me how great he is at times. And I was like, I don't know, I love him. Before we say his name, but
I was going to say we haven't even said the name, man.
yeah, but I was like, I don't know,
It's in the
maybe
title.
I build him up too much. Maybe I was just a fan of him at times, and I don't know, he's done some cool things. Let's rewatch it, and some things that I rewatched, I think, became even better now that I've seen them again.
Right.
So
Well, to say it's it's going to make for an interesting list, that's for sure.
definitely, yeah.
And as you said before, I completely agree. This was one tough list to put together, because the top 5 for me were set, but not like the order of them. You know what I mean? I had like my top 5 films or things, and the bottom of the list, like 10 through 6, was incredibly difficult because there's many great things to choose from, and I also got some honorables that I just need to throw out so that people don't get mad that I haven't mentioned it. But I will. This will be controversial too. I will leave out some things that might be revered.
I think, I know, your number one spot, the best thing that you've seen, I think there are 2 films, and I'm not sure which one you're going to pick.
Yeah, I feel the same way. I feel exactly. It's going to be just, I know that you know one of the 2. I'm interested in hearing later on if you guessed both of them correctly. But yeah, right. I mean, should we get straight into it? Or is there anything...
sure. I think it's going to be a long list because there's so much we both can say about pretty much every one of these films.
Because we're talking about... I'll let you say the name.
Let's do it on 3.
Oh.
1, 2, 3. Jake Gyllenhaal. Thank you for screwing me over not saying it with me.
It's your honor, dude. You right. One of your favorites.
Yeah, well, one of yours as well.
Sure.
I think I'm interested if you have anything on your list that I haven't seen.
I doubt it.
Or the other way around.
Yeah.
But I doubt it as well. But I don't know. They're like, I had like a list of about 15 films in the end that I want to either rewatch or watch again.
Yeah.
Watch again. I watch for the first time, I mean. And I didn't get to see 3 films. 3 films that I haven't seen yet, or 4.
Okay. But do you think that these films would have made your list? Like just in
probably not.
Okay.
They might have surprised me, but they're like, especially older things from Jake Gyllenhaal's career.
Gotcha.
I don't know. We'll see.
Well, I mean, he's been working since the early 90s, I believe.
Yeah, since he was like a child. I think he was born in 1980. I looked it up recently.
Take your word for it, yeah.
So, yeah.
And he's done so many great things ever since. And he's still going strong, I mean.
Especially in recent years, to be honest.
Absolutely.
So many cool things.
And, one of our favorites of the show. And let's get into it. I'm excited.
All right. Who's going to start this episode? I think...
What was the last special? Let's just go.
The last special was Scarlett Johansson. I think you started with Ghost World.
That's right. And we had that beautiful synergy moment where you had that at number 10 as well. And one last thing, obviously, if we're going to start at number 10, obviously. And if one of us mentions a thing that the other person has significantly higher on their list, we're simply going to save the discussion for when we get to it on the other person's list so that we don't talk about it twice.
I think like some of the great films, I think we're going to have quite close together.
Yes.
I think. Who knows?
Yeah. Well, Gabe, start us off. What's your number 10?
All right. My number 10 is Okja, Netflix film. And I absolutely love this film. In terms of which film I love with Jake Gyllenhaal in it, I think this film would have been way higher. But the thing is, the reason I love this film is not necessarily because of him. I wasn't a huge fan of his performance the first time I saw the film. Now that I rewatched it, I appreciate it more. And... because it's so fun and wacky, but it's quite disturbing at the same time. Because it's a film about animal rights and from the now very much acclaimed director Bong Joon-ho, who made Parasite.
Yeah.
And this being like his second or third English-speaking film, Okja. Also partly set in Korea.
Yeah.
With Korean actors. But I think I absolutely love this film. More or mostly because of like Paul Dano, the main actress, but I also very much now kind of really like Jake Gyllenhaal in this film. But it's not the reason I love it so much because of him. So I had to put it on my list, but I didn't want to put it any higher than number 10.
Yeah, I'm surprised it's number 10. I thought this would be higher
because there are so many other things coming up where he's like in either the leading role or like very predominant or very strong supporting role. And I want to talk more about those films because those are Jake Gyllenhaal films, and those are the films that if anybody wants to see a great Jake Gyllenhaal film, those are the ones that I would recommend.
I'm guessing you don't have anything other than films on your list.
I'm going to be honest about this, because I don't know any shows of him.
No, I don't think he's been a part of a show, has he?
But I don't think so.
Could have
Maybe
been like a YouTube video.
Cameos. Yeah.
But I mean, what a role in this one. He's like eccentric as fuck.
Because he's
over
like
the
this
top and stuff.
Nature documentary guy who then gets picked as like the marketing or like the face of a company who wants to branch out into a good alternative for meat. So they kind of made a new animal, or they said they discovered a new animal which is got more eco-friendly because it's produced less waste and it's easier to, I don't know, get the meat from. I don't know what exactly they said, but the thing is, and he's this guy whose only thing is now to be like the face of this company, and his career is going downhill, and he's so in love with himself, but so desperate because he's not getting the attention he wants, and he's treated more like a puppet by the company, and nobody respects him at all.
Mm-hmm.
It really takes a toll on him, and he just becomes this monster because he's so vain and so self-obsessed. Yeah. This is a very disturbing scene. I think you know which one I'm talking about.
I think I do. Yes.
In the facility.
Yes, where he breaks down. Doesn't he like break down crying and just
do some horrible shit?
Yes.
Yeah.
This did not make my list. I did not like this movie a lot. I thought it was fine. I thought it was like an average movie, and this also might be controversial because, as you said, it's now it's directed by one of the most acclaimed directors now, and it just didn't do it for me.
Yeah, I mean, it's alright. I mean, I have to make a very controversial statement with I prefer this film over Parasite.
That is very controversial. But I think every film you rank above Parasite is controversial these days. It's apparently the greatest film ever made.
It's a good film, but I don't know, Okja is like one of the most heartbreaking and very real endings that I've seen.
Yeah. Yeah. And I got nothing to add to this one.
That's fine. So what's your number 10?
So my number 10 is Source Code.
All right. This one did not make my list.
All right. I was, I'm not surprised. It almost did not make my list. But then again, the concept alone is sort of enough for me to put it on the list. Because I rewatched this like a couple of months ago. And it didn't hold up as well as I remembered it. It was still fun. If you don't know Source Code, it's first of all, it's directed by David Bowie's son. I mean, if that's not a selling point, then no, we don't want to.
He's also made
he's made great movie. Well, and Moon.
Moon. No, he's done some cool stuff, but also some.
You didn't like Warcraft, I know. I didn't like it either, but Duncan Jones is his name. And it's about a guy who wakes up on a train, sort of not really knowing where he is or who he is because he's apparently taken on a new identity. And then after a bit of time passes, the train explodes. And then he wakes up in this capsule or whatever, and it is revealed that he's like a former soldier who was injured, and then they're using him to test out this source code thing in which they can use the memories of the deceased from the train to sort of rebuild that scene, and he is sent back in there to find whoever detonated that bomb, the bomber. And he's got like 8 minutes every time he gets sent into it. And Michelle Monaghan is in this, who I'm a big fan of ever since Kiss Kiss Bang Bang. And I like the chemistry between the two of them. And there's some, as I said, I like this concept. I like this sort of cat and mouse game in a confined location where he's sort of just rushing around the train, and sort of every time he fails, he sort of, obviously he gets put back into it, and then he figures out new stuff on every new attempt.
Yeah, I think it's kind of a cool take on the whole Groundhog Day formula. Yeah. And I think the film kind of comes across as like a mixture of Deja Vu and Groundhog Day.
Mm-hmm.
And I know what you mean. I've rewatched the film as well a couple of months ago, and I as well didn't think it held up as much as I thought it would.
We had a nice discussion about it once, where we talked about sort of the different timelines.
Yeah.
Because this is a movie that you can talk about a lot, because
when you've seen it recently, I think there's so many little details that you forget quite easily.
Yeah. There's that one scene, because obviously I don't want to spoil anything, but there's a scene in which he calls his dad, and it's hard now to talk about it without giving anything away, but that is a great scene, because yeah, I mean, it's difficult to watch the film. Great scene though.
It's a cool film, not on the level necessarily as later films to come on this list, I think, but if you like action films, it's a pretty great one.
Yeah, I had to put it on there for the concept alone. But check it out, Source Code.
All right, number 9, a film that I didn't like initially when I liked it, but I didn't like it very much when I saw it, to be honest.
Okay.
But now that I rewatched it, I don't know why. Maybe it was just the mood I was in, but I don't know. I loved it. I watched it yesterday night, and I don't know why, but I had a great time watching it, and it connected so much with the characters. The film, we watched it together in the sneak preview. Demolition.
This has been like a running gag between the two of us because I remember you not liking that movie because there was a person like who was talking the whole way through or coughing, or what was the thing?
Yeah, something like that, I think.
Yeah, that was the tough cut. A very tough cut for me. It did not make my list.
All right. I mean, it's a pretty cool film now that I rewatch it. Like I said, first time I watched it, I wasn't a huge fan because I think, first of all, the experience got kind of spoiled in the cinema for me.
Yeah. And
second of all, I think that's kind of my own fault. Just, I knew this movie was coming out and I was looking forward to it because Jake Gyllenhaal. But a fault of my own is I don't watch trailers. I don't look anything up what the film's about if I can.
Yeah.
All I knew were like the genres, which is like comedy, drama, I think even action for some reason. And just from the poster, I expected something so different. And then watching the film, I kind of waited for the film to kind of start and was kind of surprised by what it was actually about.
Yeah.
And so, yeah, it was kind of a weird experience seeing it the first time. But rewatching it, I just loved the characters because there's this one scene very much in the beginning, which I knew the scene, but I forgot which film it was about. And I've thought about this for months and months. And then a couple of months back, I finally remembered. Because the film is about a man who, at the very beginning of the film, loses his wife in a car crash. They're both in the same car, and then he just ends up in the emergency room and hears that his wife is dead. And he's kind of left cold by all of this. It seems like he has no emotions at all.
Yeah.
And he tries to get a snack from the vending machine, some M&Ms.
Yes.
And the machine doesn't give him his candy. And he's quite upset about this and starts writing a letter to the vending machine company.
Yeah.
And by doing this, he kind of backs up. So, right, I tried to buy these M&Ms because of this and that. And to be honest, it's because my wife just died. So, well, it's kind of an unfair thing to just throw at you. So let me give you some context and kind of tells his life story and how his marriage went.
Yeah.
And writes letter to the customer service department of, I think, Champion Vending Machines it's called.
Mm-hmm.
And a woman who's played by Naomi Watts kind of reads all these letters and becomes fascinated with the guy, and then they kind of form a relationship, not necessarily sexual or anything, just two people kind of looking for something or someone. And it's such a sweet story of, I don't know, then Jake Gyllenhaal meeting the kid of this woman, and he's quite emotionless at times, but he just became so honest after his wife's death, and for some reason starts destroying things or building them apart.
Yeah, he tears down like his house, doesn't he?
Yeah, and just the relationship with the kid, because then they kind of do some stuff together because he's like not a very responsible adult at that time because he just kind of says fuck it to everything.
Yeah.
And just him becoming so honest and doing the things that people like think about during the day but never kind of do.
Yeah.
Is such a refreshing kind of thing, and I think he does it just so well, Jake Gyllenhaal. And it's kind of hard to kind of now see somebody else in that role because I think he just embodied that and just how he acted so well.
Yeah, I mean, well said. I got nothing to add to this one too. I haven't seen it since I mean, this movie came out like almost 5 years ago, I think, 2015 or something like that. But I remember liking this a lot, and also, as you said, the relationship especially between the son and him is great because they get up to some weird shit or crazy shit.
And sorry, I just want to say this in case you hear any of these films and you want to watch them. Like I said, Okja is on Netflix. Demolition you can rent on Amazon Prime.
Okay,
just so you know.
Cool, yeah. I did not do that. I'm hoping that you can add wherever this is available nowadays.
What was your first pick? It was
Source Code.
Source Code, yeah. It was on Netflix. I'm not sure if it is anymore. So
it is available on Blu-ray at my place.
Just come on by.
Yeah, come on over. But one last thing about Demolition. It's directed by Jean-Marc Vallée, who did like Dallas Buyers Club, Big Little Lies, and Sharp Objects. A fantastic director. No, really.
I'm not a huge fan of Sharp Objects, but
I know that, which is still a mystery to me. But have you seen Big Little Lies?
Not yet,
Okay.
but I'm looking forward to it.
Yeah, we'll do that on our Kidman, Kravitz, Witherspoon special, or
Let's do this.
what's the last? Shailene Woodley. Yeah.
All right, what's your number 9?
All right, I need your help for this one because this is a
let's
movie
see.
that we can't talk that I don't know how to talk about. My number 9 is Enemy.
All right, it's a little further down my list.
Okay,
So
we'll
let's
save
save
the
it a
discussion.
bit,
I
yeah.
got you. Okay, cool. That's perfect
number-
because then I won't have to talk about it at all. I just,
Perfect.
you talk about it. I'll say, yeah, I agree. I agree.
If I hadn't seen it recently, I wouldn't have been able to talk about it
yeah,
either. I think
it's a mind fuck.
Yeah, because if you haven't seen it recently and I watched a couple of videos kind of trying to interpret the story, which
Yeah.
make a lot of sense to me, and some of them kind of confirmed what I thought, and some, I don't know, were something completely different.
Yeah.
But, yeah. Otherwise, you can just describe scenes, but you can't really describe a plot, to
That's
be
right.
honest. All right, my number 8 is End of Watch.
That is genuinely also one of the toughest cuts.
Ooh, all right. Didn't
Yeah.
even make it.
Didn't make
Surprised.
it, but genuinely almost did.
All right.
Yeah.
All right. So End of
Great
Watch.
pick.
I had to rewatch it to. I don't know. I'm glad that I rewatched it because I loved the first time, but I wasn't sure if it was as great the second time, and it is. It's just so much fun. It's like this action film, which is also quite deep at times. Just seeing the setting, because I think it's also kind of quite. It's a good time to talk about this film, seeing about all the police violence,
Oh, yeah,
because
for
it's
sure.
about police officers working in LA, in the most crime-ridden neighborhoods in LA, and it's played by Michael Pena and Jake Gyllenhaal, who played partners. And the thing is, they seem like such cool guys just between them,
The
just
chemistry
having fun.
is amazing between the two of them. Yeah.
Yeah, extremely. And I think I read that quite a bit of what they said is just improvised, which is great. And you just see them having fun in the car and just being friends, and you see how much they love each other and giving each other shit
Yeah.
for various things. But then you see them on the street and how they deal with people at times, and it just seems so violent and so, I don't know, and they kind of seem proud of what they did. And if they shoot somebody, say, yeah, I got somebody.
Yeah.
Like, so detached from the world and what you should be feeling for doing such things. But then you kind of see what they see on the street at times, and it's just so fucked up. And you see that how they kind of take it home and how much it touches them.
Mm-hmm.
And then you kind of see why they become so violent, because, I don't know, it's such a broken system of so incredibly crime-ridden neighborhoods. And then you have to go in there, and then you have to be a authority figure and see such terrible things, and then you become even more violent, which probably makes the other person even hate you even more. And yeah, that's why it's kind of it's very funny, just the scenes of them being in a car together. But then when you see the kind of shit that might happen on those streets, and if you're there to kind of see it, how much it can affect you, and those little details. And I think what I read is Michael Pena and Jake Gyllenhaal went for a couple of months on ride-alongs with real LA police officers. And apparently in the first day Jake Gyllenhaal did this, he witnessed a murder.
Yeah.
Which is a tough thing to
I remember
do for research.
Hearing that too, yeah.
And you see that he embodies what I think LA police officer mentality is so well. And this is why this film is so great, in my opinion.
Yeah, I mean, you also got those elements of like his private life. Then I think he meets Anna Kendrick. Is that?
Yeah, Anna Kendrick.
They marry each other.
And there's this cool scene where in the car and they're singing. You know what? Which scene I mean?
I don't remember that one. No, vaguely.
Yeah, like in a road trip to Vegas or somewhere, and in this car, and a song comes on the radio, and they kind of start singing back and forth. And apparently, it was unscripted.
Okay,
They were just supposed to be sitting in the car and doing stuff, and the director was in the backseat filming, and they weren't aware that he was filming already. And the kind of song came on, they kind of started singing back and forth, and he started filming. And they didn't know that this scene would end up in the film until they actually saw it, which makes it even cooler.
I love movies that do that, or actors that do that, and directors who sort of cherish that, because those are the most realistic scenes, because they are real. And one of my favorite romantic comedies, or not even comedies, but romantic movies, is called Drinking. What was it called?
Drinking Buddies.
Drinking Buddies, also with Anna Kendrick, where apparently the whole movie was improvised. There was no real script, and it's just people talking, and it's just so genuine and real. And it just reminded me of that when you said Anna Kendrick was improvising.
Funny enough, I looked this film up yesterday to see if I could rent it somewhere. And it is on Prime, so I'm looking forward to finally seeing it.
Why did you think of that movie?
I kind of thought about, I don't know, different films, and I don't know how I kind of came to Punch Drunk Love, and looked it up if it's on Prime. Right. And then thinking of Punch Drunk Love, I thought about Drinking Buddies, because I don't know, drunk, yeah. Because I was just looking for films to kind of watch the next couple of days, because watching and rewatching kind of some of these Jake Gyllenhaal films made me think of other cool films that I haven't seen yet. I want to see.
All right. End of Watch was a tough cut, and
dude, I'm surprised what else is on your list, because it's quite different so far. Well, except for Enemy.
Enemy, yeah. Well, the one movie that I have that I'm not sure if you have seen, there's only one that I'm not sure that you've seen, is my number 8, and that is October Sky.
This is one of the 4 films that I was missing.
Okay. So, October Sky, that's very early, Jake. It's 1999, I believe. It's directed by Joe Johnston, who did like the Captain America film, the first one, and many other things, of course. But what I love is that it's again Chris Cooper versus Jake Gyllenhaal, which is, they've worked together so many times. They worked in Demolition, Jarhead, October Sky. There was one other thing, I think. I can't think of it, of course, right now. What was the other thing? God damn it. Chris Cooper, Jake Gyllenhaal. They worked together so many times. Oh, no, it's actually only those 3. Did I say Demolition? Yeah.
You did, yeah.
Demolition.
He plays his father-in-law.
Yeah. And he plays his father in October Sky. Mm-hmm. And it's so funny because I wish I had seen this movie as a child. Because this genuinely feels like one of those childhood movies that I would have loved and rewatched over and over again. Like these adventure type movies that don't really exist anymore, because this is a story about, it's a true story about just some kids at school who witness the Russians exploring space, and there's like this whole event about it, and they're looking at the sky. Everyone look at the sky, you can see the satellite passing, and then just like Jake Gyllenhaal is like, I want to do that, I want to build rockets. And then he has his 2 best friends who sort of like make fun of him because they are more like the cool kids in school. They don't want to be like the nerdy type kids. But then Jake, he's like completely infatuated with the idea, and like, I want to build rockets. And his dad is Chris Cooper. He works at a mine, a coal mine, and he has his life all planned out. Jake Gyllenhaal, as soon as he grows up, he overtakes the mine. He is everyone in that town. Every man has to work in that mine once they grow old. And Jake just like, no, I don't want to do that. And then he actually approaches the nerdy kid at school, who's the fucking Shermanator from American Pie.
Really?
Yeah.
Always the nerd, the poor guy.
Yeah, I've never seen him in anything other than American Pie. And I was like, that's you.
I just love it that you could say Shermanator, and I think everybody's got a picture of this guy in his mind.
Yeah.
Sorry.
I haven't even looked at. I hope it is him. I'm 90% sure. I didn't look it up, but it has to be him, because it's also like, I think American Pie was also like 1999. So
yeah,
they're very
late
much
90s, early 2000s.
2000. 1999.
All right.
The second one was 2001. And it's interesting because you got that relationship between Chris Cooper and Jake Gyllenhaal, who like, Chris Cooper's like this strict dad who's like, he doesn't want his son to sort of chase his dreams and build rockets and do stupid stuff like that because it doesn't lead to anything. But then you got Laura Dern as well, who plays his teacher, Jake Gyllenhaal's teacher, and she's like encouraging him to enter the science fair and do these things, and he can get like scholarships for college and stuff. And it's just about a story. It's just a story about a kid chasing his dreams, and it's really, really good. Film. Yeah, it's got those classic childhood adventure vibes, also with the music. Yeah, this is orchestral epic music in the background. And yeah, I got goosebumps a couple of times. It's a very sweet film. Cliche, of course, like cliche ridden. It's cheesy, and you maybe know where it's gonna go, but it's still a fun ride. And you do see some early signs of Donnie Darko in this, just because of his looks, his eyes when he's mad. Because this is like 2 years before Donnie Darko, and I was like, you can see this guy playing Donnie Darko 2 years later. Maybe the director of Donnie Darko saw October Sky and was like, yeah, do that stare the same way again.
Maybe, yeah. I mean, some of his expressions in Donnie Darko you can also kind of see in Nightcrawler, just with him not blinking
Yeah.
at times.
Oh, dude, we'll get to those films.
Yeah, definitely.
Yeah, that's my number 8.
Dude, it's a cool film. I would have loved to see it, especially I kind of love like space stories. Or like
Yeah,
people who
well,
wanna
it
go to
doesn't-
space.
Yeah, it is very. It is a grounded.
Yeah.
And
Sorry,
sorry,
I'm surprised you actually ended up in space.
yeah, it's directed by Joe Johnston.
Johnston.
Yeah, I'm sorry.
All right.
I had to look it up because I was unsure. Not Johnson, Johnston. All right.
All right. My number 7, I think, is definitely on your list. I don't know where it is, but my number 7 is Zodiac.
Yeah, that is higher for me.
Yeah. I just want to say I rewatched it and I loved it. I was like, all right, this is a good Fincher film. But I was like, I don't know, it's fine. I never loved it as much as people did. Now rewatching it, I absolutely love it now, and I would have loved to put it higher.
What? Yeah.
But the other films on this list are just as also great.
Wow.
And yeah, this is a 9 for me, and still it's number 7. This just
Jesus.
tells you how. I mean, Okja is also a 9. Demolition, End of Watch is like an 8. And I just want to say this is how much I just love Jake Gyllenhaal's his films, and just want to say, dude, even when 9 is like this high up on the list, because there's so many other great films that I want to talk about.
There's one film in particular that I'm very interested in if it made your list, but we'll get to it. All right,
I think I know which film you mean, but yeah.
we'll talk about it. But
All right.
I mean, we'll just go straight back to you because my 7 is Donnie Darko.
All right, yeah, that's gonna be a little higher.
A little higher, yeah.
All right, then we can start our Enemy discussion, because number 6 is Enemy.
All right, please take it away.
Yeah, so Enemy is a Denis Villeneuve film, a director that we're both great fans of, and you kind of, I don't want to say introduce me, you make me aware of this director, because I've seen Prisoners.
Yeah.
And I absolutely loved it. And then we were in the cinema together, sneak preview, and you said, all right, I'm hoping that Sicario will come.
Yeah.
It's like the second time we went to the sneak. And I wasn't really aware of Denis Villeneuve at that time. I knew Prisoners and I really liked it, but that's pretty much it. And then I saw Sicario with you and I loved it, and then I kind of started watching more of his films.
Yeah.
And now I'm a huge fan of his.
Top
and
3
I know
directors
you are.
for me. Yeah.
Yeah.
100%.
I think he's like one of the best directors working today.
Yeah, and he's got
If
Dune
not the-
coming out this year.
Yeah.
Which apparently a trailer is supposed to drop soon. I know you don't give a shit about it, but I do.
Yeah, I'm just excited that it's actually happening.
Yeah.
But anyway, Enemy is a very, 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 very surreal film. And it's not a film with like a set plot or like a film with... It's not a traditional film. Not at all. It's...
Well, you can summarize it within like one sentence. A guy
but
meets someone who
not
looks
really
just like him.
That's not really what the film's about, and again,
No.
kind of. But yeah, it's Jake Gyllenhaal plays a history teacher, and then somebody recommends him a film, and he sees the film and notices that one person in this film looks exactly like him, exactly like him. And he kind of looks him up and kind of starts, and then kind of finds this person, wants to meet him, and it turns out they're exactly alike. Like they have the same scar, they have the same everything.
Yeah.
And it kind of starts with this very weird beginning of the other Jake Gyllenhaal, the actor Jake Gyllenhaal, being in this very seedy club, sex club, watching people, and a woman kind of trying about to stomp a spider. And spiders are a very prominent theme throughout the film.
Yes.
And the really cool film about this film is Denis Villeneuve made everybody who worked in the film, all the actors, write a non-disclosure agreement that they wouldn't reveal what the symbolism of the spiders are about.
Okay.
And he never explained it.
Yeah.
It's up to your interpretation, and he doesn't want anybody to know. But then again, I watched a couple of things, kind of explain them.
Yeah.
I don't want to spoil it necessarily, because I think it's the way you're supposed to watch this film, in my opinion, is just watch it, have the experience, then maybe look it up, and then watch it again.
Fair enough.
In my opinion.
I remember the videos because I after I saw the film, I also looked up some interpretations, and I remember thinking, yeah, that makes sense.
Yeah.
But I just remember this movie being a total mindfuck, and it also was scary as hell at times. Because first of all, I'm not a big fan of spiders. I mean, that doesn't help.
But
just the way, fair enough. But just the way some spiders are shown, or like they are revealed, There's that one particular scene. I mean, for God's sake.
I mean, the very end.
Yeah. No.
There are a couple of scenes.
Yeah,
which
yeah.
are just weird.
Yeah, I think we're thinking about the same one.
Yeah.
But it's just a crazy, and it's got. I mean, it's so hard to talk about this one. Because they also have like these the two girlfriends who also look somewhat similar.
Yeah, very blonde.
Yeah,
Pretty.
very blonde and pretty. Yeah,
Yeah, they are.
that is my Tinder bio. If you didn't know.
What for you? Or what you're looking for?
No, for me. No,
Yeah, right.
describing myself. Yeah. Yeah. But yeah, I mean, it sounds so, I don't know, so stupid, or that we can't really discuss this film. But as you said, I think you should really go into it not knowing a lot, and then obviously, if you're interested in the interpretations, then look up certain things online, and then maybe watch it again. But this is really a film that is sort of to be seen. That is best if you don't know anything about it.
And the thing is, after watching the film again, I can't stop thinking about especially a couple of very poignant scenes, or that, I don't know, you just can't get out of your head. And I've been thinking about them constantly since then. That's why this film is quite high on my list.
I'm usually
stays with you.
Yeah. I'm usually not a fan of these films who leave everything open to interpretation. Yeah. But if you got like a great director, he sort of still manages to engage me, and then I do want to sort of dissect the film, and sort of it makes me want to discuss it and makes me want to think about it.
Dude, I want to discuss it as well so much, and maybe we can have a discussion at some point, maybe over a beer, but
I'll have to rewatch it.
Yeah.
For sure, because
there's so many things that I just want to talk about and get your take on.
Yeah. But yeah, I mean, there's that scene where like they're like, their hands almost, I don't know if they touch or not, but they're like checking each other out when they first see each other, and you just see a shot of their hands. I remember I took a screenshot of that when I saw it. I took a picture of it because I thought it was just such a cool image.
And it really shows the two personalities, because them kind of saying opposite each other, and because they look exactly alike, but they're not alike at all.
Yeah.
And just, you see the guys, show me your hands, just points out his hands and has his hands there like you would. But then we see the other guy raising his hands, the other Jake, and you just see him shaking because he's so nervous, and the other guy is so cool at the moment.
Yeah.
It really makes you see how different they are, and just sees how, it's just a perfect example of how great an actor Jake Gyllenhaal is.
Yeah.
And saying, I don't know, a lot of people, I think, kind of see the Oscars as like the go-to thing if an actor's great.
Which they shouldn't, which they really shouldn't.
I know,
yeah.
But they do, and like in so many films, one from the Oscar-nominated actor, so-and-so. And I think he has one nomination, but there's so many other films that he should have deserved one.
Yeah.
And I think he is an actor who should definitely win at some point. He has to.
Of course.
Because he's just so amazing. He's one of the great actors, even though he hasn't gotten all the nominations he deserves.
100%.
Yeah.
I'm sure he'll get one. And even if he doesn't, then...
everybody knows he should have one.
Yeah. We'll continue to spread the word of how great he is. And as many other
His
people.
two fans.
Yeah. All right.
Number 6,
My
right?
number 6. Or is it?
Yeah.
Is it my number 6? Yeah.
Yeah.
My number 6 is Wildlife.
All right. Tough cut.
Tough cut.
For me.
Okay. Yeah. Okay.
Was that the film you wanted to make my list?
No.
All right.
Was that the one that you thought it was?
Either that or the other one.
Gotcha.
All right.
Well, Wildlife, I remember seeing this at a film festival, and it just completely blew me away. And it's not really the story that did it, because the story is very, like, it's not, like, I don't want to say it's nothing special, but it's a very straightforward story. It's about a sort of, similar to Marriage Story, it's a film about divorce, and it's about Jake Gyllenhaal's character. He's married to Carey Mulligan, and they have a son together. And then Jake Gyllenhaal, he sort of, I think he loses his job, and then he decides to become a firefighter, because or he wants to help in the forest because the forest is on fire, and he sort of disappears from the family, and that leads Carey Mulligan's character to start having an affair with one of her students, I believe, because
like,
she's a teacher.
She's a swim teacher, and he's like this big businessman. He's
much older than she is.
Yeah.
Yeah, it sounds wrong when I say student, but It's played by Bill Kemp, who I mentioned last week, who was in Dark Waters, a guy who was in everything. And then it's sort of about Jake Gyllenhaal returning and finding out about the affair, and the film is very much told through the son's perspective.
Yeah.
Much more so than in Marriage Story, which is something that I wish I had seen more in Marriage Story. But Wildlife sort of tells the story of the child. And I think, first of all three of these actors are fantastic. And I remember that everyone raved about Carey Mulligan. And also, like, they couldn't believe she wasn't nominated. For me, honestly, the standout was the boy. I think his name was like, God damn it. Ike. No, that's the other guy. God damn it. Hold on. I want to mention his name. He deserves it. He's called...
I got it actually open. Wildlife.
Ed Oxenbould. Yeah.
What a great name.
What a name. And yeah, there's that one scene at the... and we're talking about Jake Gyllenhaal. Obviously, he's great in this movie as well. It's a very mature performance of his. He's very subdued. Yeah. And he's got this... he sort of ends up... He is subdued at the end, but then he sort of does explode when he finds out about the affair, and he confronts the guy she has an affair with, and also confronts the wife about it. There's this one scene where he just goes like, "Boy, oh boy, oh boy, oh boy." It's such a weird phrase to use, but he sort of manages to pull it off and not make it look sound ridiculous, because you're boy, oh boy, oh boy.
Well, I think we should also mention this film is set in the 60s or 50s.
Yes.
So it's quite a different time in how people talk and react.
Yeah, absolutely. And once again, for me, this has one of the best end scenes ever. Because I remember thinking this ends like after one particular scene. I was like, okay, this is where the movie ends. I would have been fine with that. But then there's one other scene that they attach at the end. It's incredible, and I literally had goosebumps all over my body when I saw that scene, because I was like, God damn it! Obviously, it's directed by Paul Dano, who you mentioned before, and
great
he
actor.
also worked with Jake on Prisoners. Great actor, and now a great director and writer. He wrote it together with his wife Zoe Kazan, who plays in Big Sick and other things.
And her grandfather was like this big Hollywood screenplay writer, director who made On the Waterfront with Marlon Brando.
He's called
Eliza Kazan.
Is it Eliza?
Mm-hmm.
Eliza?
He's got a very feminine.
Is that right? I'll take your word for it.
I think Eliza or Elijah. I think it's Eliza.
There's no Elia.
Let's look it up.
Elia.
Oh, sorry, Elia.
Elia.
Yeah, Elia. Sorry.
Yeah. So it's got great people making the movie and great people starring in the movie, and just again that ending scene, it reminded me very much of the end. Well, not the end, just what you can do with a look, just like in La La Land at the end, where Gosling and Stone look at each other. This is not a spoiler in terms of what this look means. It's just amazing as to what great actors can do with a simple look.
Yeah, I couldn't agree more. I thought the exact thing when I saw the ending, so I'm glad you had it on your list. Yeah. And I love the film. I think it's a great film. I was really into it. But the thing is why I didn't put it on my list is because the film's like 1.5 hours long, approximately. And he's in the film for about half an hour.
That's very true.
And that is why I didn't put it on my list, because I think it was great, but I think there are other performances where he's greater. And that's why I put Demolition in there, and not Wildlife. It was between the two for me, and the reason I put Demolition is just because his role is bigger and a bit more interesting, I think.
Fair enough. Yeah, I was confused when you said it's an hour 30. It's an hour 45. I don't want to correct you, but I was like, this is not. I don't remember this being this short.
Well, all right, hour 45. 15 minutes more.
No, sorry, it's fine.
No. Yeah.
What's your 5?
5. My 5, I know it's on your list, and I know it's going to be higher. Nocturnal Animals.
That is higher for me, yes.
Yeah. I mean, I absolutely love the film, but there are
other
9.
Films. It's a 9 out of 10.
It is.
I know.
And they're just... But there are other things where his role is bigger. And for me, it was when they're kind of trying to put the films in order. It was also about how big his role is and how touching and how iconic his role is. So, yeah, sadly, it's only a number 5.
My number 5 is Brothers.
It didn't make my list. I wasn't a huge fan of it, to be honest.
See, I love this movie. I really love this movie. And I was always surprised when you said you hadn't seen it because this has got like your two favorite actors making out.
Yeah.
What's that about?
Yeah, the thing is, I love Jake Gyllenhaal in this, and I love Natalie Portman. I think they're great in this film. I really love their performances.
What are you going to say now?
I didn't like...
Dude, that is honestly the most controversial thing you've ever said. He's fantastic in that movie.
I know, and he was nominated for like Golden Globe, and
Was he?
Yeah. The film was nominated for him as best support or leading actor, I think, and was nominated for something else, screenplay or I don't know, score. I think.
Yeah. Okay.
I think it says in the Blu-ray you gave me. But I wasn't a huge fan of his, and like the story with him being in Afghanistan. And I don't know. I really enjoyed the scenes between Jake Gyllenhaal and Natalie Portman.
Yeah.
I thought it was way more interesting. But I would love to see the Danger original and see how it's different, especially the war scenes.
I disagree with.
I know.
No, but it's fine. But
yeah.
Obviously, the story is Tobey Maguire. He's a soldier. He goes off to Afghanistan, and then he is suspected dead. And Jake Gyllenhaal plays his brother, who sort of takes care of the family that he leaves behind. Tobey Maguire, that is Natalie Portman, his wife, and I think he's got one daughter.
Yep, 2 daughters.
2 daughters. And then Tobey Maguire's character is suspected dead, and then Jake Gyllenhaal and Natalie Portman kiss. Well, it's not really. It's not really set if they actually start an affair. If that's like a one-time thing, if I remember correctly.
Yeah.
But then, first of all, the chemistry between the two of them is off the charts, in my opinion.
Dude, I would love them again in the film.
You would love what?
Love it. To see them again in the film together.
Yeah,
they're amazing.
Because that scene where they're sort of getting closer to each other, or where they're sitting in front of a fire stove and just smoking and talking, also felt very real and very great. And obviously, then Tobey Maguire's character, you do see some of the war scenes then, and he has to do some horrific things in order to return, because it turns out he isn't dead after all, and he did horrible things in order to return. Then he comes back, and then everyone's obviously shook that he's back, and he does confront Jake about. There's this one also, in my opinion, great scene where they like at an ice skating park or whatever, and the two guys are just sitting watching the family just ice skating, and then Tobey Maguire's character is just like, "Yeah, did you fuck her?" It's like, Gyllenhaal's like, "What? What are you like?" Totally taken aback by that, and in my opinion, Tobey Maguire is Oscar worthy in this film. I really do think so.
I wasn't a huge fan of some of the scenes. I mean, it's kind of cool to see him, especially being so jealous, not necessarily just of the relationship between Gyllenhaal and Portman, but also of how his children now kind of prefer their uncle over him because he is just so absent.
Yeah, but also
when
because
he's there.
Yeah, because he's got PTSD. He's completely traumatized by the horrible things that he had to do, and that's also interesting. I think the film shows both sides. It shows the trauma from a real interesting part is the trauma that Tobey Maguire goes through, and then also the chemistry, the real great chemistry that Jake has with him and Jake has with Natalie Portman, and I think it's just a very interesting film.
I think it's kind of sound maybe a little pretentious. The thing is, a thing that I kind of also didn't very much like, also in the Tobey Maguire storyline, in the scene where he had to do some horrible shit.
Yeah.
It didn't have any impact from me because not from performance perspective, but from a filmmaking perspective. Because in the scene where he does it, it kind of just instead of hearing the noises of those horrible noises the scene would have made, they just play music real loud, and then he kind of just screams, and then it's over in about 2 seconds. I think if they had done it and just shown what he had done, and just if you do this, it makes a horrible sound, I'm sure. And if you know what a scene I'm talking about, you know what he's doing in this scene.
That might have been for rating reasons. Could very
but
well
it's
be.
R-rated. I looked it up afterwards, and they say fuck a lot. So I was like, all right, did they want it to be PG-13? What's the reason here? And I looked it up. It's not. It's R-rated, so they had no real reason to not do it.
Well, it was an artistic choice, I'm guessing.
I know. I think, but it just didn't felt as impactful as it should have. I think it's just all right. He did it, but if you'd actually shown him do it and just instead of just blaring loud music over it, I think it would have been way worse or rather way better.
Yeah, I mean, fair point. Yeah. I do think he is fantastic in the film, and so are the other the other two actors. I think it's a stellar cast, and I think it's a very, very realistic portrayal of something I know very little of, and I can't say if it's realistic because I haven't gone through the things that these people have gone through. But for me, it just completely worked, and I think this is one of his most underrated films. I don't think a lot of people have seen Brothers, so please check out Brothers. I think it's great. It's
and I'm probably wrong
Sheridan,
about Tobey Maguire's performance. Apparently, everybody's another opinion.
Never
Maybe
wrong
it's just
about
how
it, dude.
Perceived it. I know, but yeah.
Yeah.
All right.
It's written. It's written by. Now no one's gonna watch this. It's written by David Benioff, the Game of Thrones guy.
Really, I didn't know that.
Yeah, and as you said, the original movie is Susanne Bier and Anders Thomas Jensen, who are fantastic filmmakers.
Yeah,
I
that's
actually
why
know
I
these
was
people.
very interested.
Yeah.
You actually know them?
Actually, good friends of mine.
Yeah.
I know their work.
Susanne Bier is cool. She's done cool, very cool Danish films.
Yeah. Is it Danish?
Yeah, Danish.
And it's directed by Jim Sheridan, who is a very acclaimed director. He did In the Name of the Father and My Left Foot with Day-Lewis.
Yeah.
And
he did In the Name of the Father as well.
Yeah.
Oh, cool. Dude, In the Name of the Father is a movie that I absolutely love. And I haven't seen My Left Foot, sadly. But I thought Paul Thomas Anderson is the only director he worked twice with.
Well, there you go.
Huh. All right. Good to know.
Yeah. Right. What's your number 4?
My number 4 is Brokeback Mountain. Just because it's such an amazing it's an amazing film. It's just such an amazing film. But yeah.
I watched this for this show.
The first time.
This was the big movie that I was missing.
Oh, wow. And?
It was such a drag.
That's controversial.
But it did not make my list. But I did not hate it. I was good. I had such a tough time watching this film. I was like, my God, just get on with it. Because it is like a 2 hour. Yeah. No, but let's talk about it. Obviously, this is maybe the movie that he's most known for. So
yeah, it's this one Oscar nomination, and
I don't understand that. Dude. This is for me. Sorry, I don't want to interrupt you, but this is for me. This is Heath Ledger's film.
It is. It isn't. That's. I wasn't sure if I should put it in number 4, but for me it was the Heath Ledger's film as well. And I mean, he was also nominated as supporting actor, Jake Gyllenhaal.
Yeah.
But I think it's just a beautiful love story and how they tell it and how real it gets with how people would, I think, kind of react to this. And Jake Gyllenhaal said a beautiful sentence about this film because obviously I think everybody's heard of Brokeback Mountain. Everybody knows what it is about or has seen it at some point.
Yeah.
I'm sure of it. It's like the film.
Yes.
Especially a romance film. And it was kind of snubbed at the Oscars, everybody said. And I think it should have deserved Best Picture as well instead of Crash.
Okay. Well, I haven't seen Crash, but that is supposedly the worst Best Picture winner ever.
I think it was kind of a cool film the time I saw it, but it wasn't the Best Picture.
Yeah.
But yeah, Brokeback Mountain is just of them. It's in the 60s and it's about two, well, not really cowboys, but two guys who work on Brokeback Mountain herding sheep. Yeah. And they're out there all alone for months. And kind of relationship evolves and a very, well, at first more sexual and then more emotional.
Yes.
But the thing is, it's an LGBTQ plus kind of film. It's about two gay men, which you don't see a lot of.
Plus, yes.
Yeah, well, now it's plus.
Yeah, we have to be accurate.
All inclusive. But the thing is, Jake Gyllenhaal said such a cool thing about it because everybody's like, it's about two gay men. Jake Gyllenhaal just said, I don't think these men even knew what gay is.
Okay.
And just, they wouldn't describe themselves as gay. And it's just not something, because I don't know, there are words for sexuality, but those men didn't even know if they're gay. Who knows if they're even gay? I mean, they have wives. Maybe they love their wives. Maybe they're bisexual as well.
Yeah.
But the thing is just, when they have wives, and they seem at first, at least, that they really feel for their wives. But you just see how much they love each other, and just that bond they have between each other is like that thing, and they can't get away from each other.
Yeah.
And just coming back to each other, and even when it seems like they kind of forgot about each other, just the scene towards the end with the shirt.
Yes.
Yeah.
I had to rewind what he says. I actually had to look it up, because I also have to say, I did not understand a word that Heath Ledger said in this film. I did not watch this with subtitles, and I understand.
Yeah.
I'm going to say most of it, but
I think it's hard at first.
It is like
the
Jeff
beginning of the
Bridges. It's like Jeff Bridges in True Grit. He's like, he grunts everything. Don't understand a word. You can sort of guess what he means.
Yeah.
And then they end up kissing. It's like, oh, you must have said the right thing, but no idea what you said.
I'm not sure if it was about words, but yeah.
Yeah.
But I think it's a very good performance. And I think it's a very brave performance.
100%. 100%.
Just like in Call Me by Your Name, because I think a lot of heterosexual actors wouldn't have done that.
Absolutely.
And so yeah, good for them. And I think it's just a perfect view of how a relationship works and how obsessed people can become of each other. And I think although it's about two gay men, I think it's just a universal thing, and that's what kind of shows.
Yeah.
That kind of love and obsession with another person is a universal thing. And yeah, I think that's just why the film's so great. I mean, I do agree it's more of a Heath Ledger film, and I mean, they became great friends, and Heath Ledger met his wife there, and I actually read that Daniel Day-Lewis, arguably the best actor ever, in my opinion, and I think a lot of other people's opinion as well, said that this is one of his favorite films of all time.
Wow.
Also because of just Heath Ledger, and it's like his favorite performance of anyone.
Wow.
Apparently.
Nice. Yeah. I can understand that.
Especially
completely.
like the ending scene was like his favorite in year two.
Yeah. As I said, I had to look up what he actually uttered.
Yeah.
But yeah. And I mean, it's got one hell of a cast.
Yeah.
With the wives, obviously, you said Michelle Williams, who then turned out to be Heath Ledger's real wife, I think. Is that the movie that they met at?
Yeah, they met there.
Yeah. And Anne Hathaway, who also stars with, she plays Jake Gyllenhaal's wife, and then they also obviously starred in Love and Other Drugs, which I know will be higher on your list, but yeah. No, it's got, and then obviously I've written down the cast because it's incredible. You got Linda Cardellini.
I completely forgot that she was in there.
David Harbour is in this, who's now...
He plays in another film with Jake Gyllenhaal. No one that I recently saw. I forgot which one. Yeah, like one or two other films. In End of Watch, right?
Oh, okay. And then you got Anna Faris.
Yeah, which is so weird.
Yeah, and Kate Mara plays his daughter when she's older. I was like, this is an incredible cast. Yeah, but it's a very sweet story, very heartbreaking story.
And, I mean, we should get back to Jake Gyllenhaal talking about this film. The scene where they're at the dinner table and the kind of his father-in-law tries to defy him actively to be like the dominant man in the family.
Best scene of the film.
So good.
So good.
Just because the father-in-law just tells him, I just said also. You can cut that out.
You don't know how many times you actually say that.
I'm sure I do. No, but the father-in-law just tries to defy him because they want the kid to turn off the TV, and every time Jake Gyllenhaal turns off the TV, the father just walks over and turns it back on. Yeah, and I mean, Jake Gyllenhaal's kind of it's such a dick. Jake Gyllenhaal's like the man of the house, and he wants to carve the turkey, and his father-in-law just takes away the cutlery and just starts doing it for him. Yeah. What a fucking and
then he completely annihilates him, and then I love that little smirk that Anne Hathaway has.
It's so good.
Yeah,
I just love that scene. It is a great performance in my opinion, and that's why I put it so high. Now that's why I put it above Nocturnal Animals, because just the performance, the weight of his role in this film is like bigger in my opinion.
Yeah,
although I love Nocturnal Animals.
I didn't hate this by any means. It didn't make my list, but I completely understand why people love it. And that scene also, that smirk, it reminded me of, if you remember in 3 Billboards, where like she talks to that pastor or that priest who comes to visit them.
Yeah.
And he wants to talk her out of using the billboards, and she just completely annihilates him. And then there's like this shot of her son just slowly starting to smirk. Like, fantastic. Yeah. All right.
All right. What's your number 4?
My 4 is apparently, or not apparently, but I'm sure in many people's estimation, his best performance ever. That is Nightcrawler.
It's a bit higher.
It's a bit higher.
Yeah.
All right. Let's talk about it later. What's
All
your
right.
4? 3, sorry.
My 3 is Prisoners, which is going to be a bit higher for you, I suspect.
It's going to be a bit higher for me, yeah.
Yeah. All right. All right, then we can just skip. Oh, no, sorry. It's your number 3.
Well, my 3 was your, I think, 6 or 7, which is Zodiac. What was
Zodiac.
that?
All right,
List?
let's talk about that. Yeah, my number 7.
7, yeah. I mean, it's a Fincher film.
I
right?
know.
I mean, it's got to be high up on my list.
If it wasn't in your top 3, I would have been extremely surprised.
But once again, I do not. I kind of agree with you. This is not. I don't revere this film as much as other people do. I like it a lot. I think it's great, but first of all, it is a long ass film. I think it's almost
240 or something.
Yeah, it does take its time, which you could argue is necessary and also helps the film sort of create its mood and tone.
I mean, towards the end of the film, it spans nearly 40 years, I think.
Yeah. And I wanted to say that on Brokeback as well. That also spans like 20 years, that story, which I didn't know beforehand. I thought it was just like a weekend up on the mountains.
I mean, that's what they kind of come back to.
Yeah. But, I mean, Zodiac, it's the true story about the Zodiac killer in the San Francisco area, I think, who is still to this date...
Unconfirmed.
Yeah, I mean, we don't know who he is. So
and there are theories.
There are theories, and this movie sort of tackles these theories as well. Well, if you go by this film, it is actually pretty clear who is the Zodiac killer. But
the thing is that just how they portrayed it, because they kind of based this film on a very popular theory, who it is, on a book.
Yeah,
and I think there are so many things that happened. And I mean, I'm sure there's a lot they had to leave out. And I think if you leave that out and you kind of portray this person differently, who knows? I mean, just from the facts, if they are true, everything that they showed, it seems very clear. But who knows? I mean, it's a big...
Yeah, but it is based on the book by the guy who is portrayed by Jake Gyllenhaal, who's Robert Graysmith, I believe his name is.
Yeah.
A cartoonist who sort of gets obsessed with this. He works at a newspaper along with Robert Downey Jr.,
Yeah.
And he gets obsessed with the Zodiac killer and sort of tries to find him and sort of investigates this. And then he starts working together with Mark Ruffalo's character, who's, I believe, a police
detective.
Homicide. Yeah. And they team up and sort of, or they don't actually team up then, but Ruffalo's like, yeah, I can't help you. And then Jake Gyllenhaal's character, he doesn't give up. He sort of keeps pursuing him. And it's just if you're looking for a serial killer crime investigation film, you won't find many better ones just in terms of craftsmanship, because I mean, it looks it looks incredible, and the tone of the film is just quite something.
But I have to ask you, when is the last time you saw this film? Because there's a certain scene that I want to discuss so much, and I don't know if you've seen recently.
I saw it like a year ago.
All right, because I would love to kind of do a kind of a little spoiler timestamp and talk about this scene.
Let's do it.
Because towards the end of the film, Jake Gyllenhaal is investigating. So, all right, spoilers ahead. If you haven't seen the film, check it out. Definitely check it out. So he's investigating who the Zodiac killer could be, and then he gets this anonymous call. Check out this guy. He wrote the movie posters for this and that. And
the basement scene.
Yeah. And then he is at the other guy's house. And I want to talk about Rick Marshall, because he wrote the poster, and the guy's like, no, he didn't write the posters. I did.
Yes.
And they kind of see that this handwriting sample is the closest thing they've come to the Zodiac killer.
Yes. And
he's like so freaked out. But then they kind of don't discuss it a lot after that. I mean, why is he not more of a suspect later? I mean, I get it. Arthur Lee Allen is like the guy, and that's what he sees. So that's what they focus more on. But they don't really talk about why. I mean, he could be his partner, I guess, because he hears somebody upstairs. When he's like down in the basement, he's like, is somebody upstairs? And he doesn't react.
By the way, is one of the sort of
creepiest scenes ever.
Creepy scenes where he's like, it's down in the basement, and there's a callback to earlier dialogue, and then Jake Gyllenhaal's like, not a lot of people have basements in California.
Yeah.
Yeah. I don't actually, it's a good question. I don't remember it.
That's irritated me so much the first time that I saw it. And I had less of a problem the second time because I thought like, maybe he's his like accomplice, but yeah, sorry.
I think, I remember now that you say it, I think I had the same thoughts. I was like, this guy must be the guy. Yeah. And then I was like, why aren't they pursuing him? But I think it must be just because they are, as you said, it's Arthur Lee Allen or whatever his name is, that the guy, and then they sort of, they're sure that it's him, and then they're chasing him rather than pursuing someone who they have less evidence of. If that makes sense.
Yeah.
I don't know.
I mean, I just would have loved to see like a couple of more sentences to kind of explain that, or like his theory, how it is kind of connected. So yeah, but it's such a creepy scene where like somebody's upstairs. So are you sure you're alone at home? So yeah. So then somebody hears somebody again. So is there nobody else? So you want to go upstairs and check?
Yeah.
And he's like, no, I'm fine. And then he just tries to bolt out of the door, and just the door's locked, and he just comes up slowly behind him and unlocks it for him.
So creepy, dude.
And then he smiles. Dude.
Yeah.
I get goosebumps just talking about it.
Yeah.
But yeah, this is kind of a spoiler section. I just want to discuss this for a moment.
Yeah. Unfortunately, I can't give you an answer, but I don't know. Good question. Yeah. I'm sure there is an answer.
Maybe we should read the book.
Maybe it was just cut.
Yeah.
But yeah, I mean, check out Zodiac.
Yeah.
it's really. Don't let the runtime scare you off. I mean, I just said it. It is a long movie, but if you're in the mood for
fast.
Yeah. I mean, and it just the filmmakers and the actors, of course, as well, are just at their A game. It's an incredible story.
Yeah, and it just shows us a variety in roles, just how more held back and shy and more nerdy he is. And dude, he's not a nerdy guy in real life. He's like seems very outgoing. He's very well built and just a good looking guy, but just how he portrays it, he comes off as somebody who would seem more, I don't know, held back, and nobody would kind of talk to him because he seems weird. And he does that so well, because in his other films he's quite charismatic at times, or quite intimidating. Like, he's so different than End of Watch, like different people.
Oh, dude, 100%. Nightcrawler, for example. Yeah, I mean, range is definitely one of his strong suits. I mean, this guy can play almost anything.
Yeah, definitely.
Anybody. Yeah. What's your 2?
My number... That was your number 3, right?
That was my 3, yes.
All right, my number 2 is Nightcrawler.
Yeah, that was my 4.
That was your 4, right. So, all right, let's talk about it. Nightcrawler, his maybe best performance ever.
Yeah.
Which is why it's my number 2.
Yeah, I mean, you could definitely argue that, yeah.
I mean, yeah, it's a very creepy film, and I think probably a lot of people have heard of this film. I don't know if many people have seen it, to be honest.
Yeah, I don't know.
But, yeah, I know you're a fan of this film as well, so I'm surprised it's only your number 4.
What do you mean? It's only my number 4. You're going on about films about your number 9 is like a 9 out of 10. And
I know, but I thought like Nightcrawler would be maybe your number 1.
Oh,
so
no.
That's why I was surprised.
Wow, really? No. I'm still struggling to pick my number 1 right now. Like 1 and 2 are so interchangeable.
Well, dude, just Nightcrawler is about this guy who works or wants to be a reporter, or wants to film accidents and horrible crimes, and he just starts off. He's like this very creepy guy, and he starts off like breaking into places and
he's sort
killing or knocking out, just beating up guards to steal shit.
Yeah, just a little bit of backstory. He's looking for a job, and then one day he's like driving along the highway, and then there's an accident, and then he sees someone else filming it, and he's like, "What the hell are you doing?" What's the guy's name? Bill Paxton. He recently passed away. He plays the other reporter, and he's like, "What are you doing?" He's like, "I'm selling it to the local news or whatever." Yeah. And that sort of starts off his passion for, or his thrive to do the same thing.
Yeah, and the thing is, he's just a complete psychopath in this film.
He is.
And you see it because he rarely, if ever, I think very rarely in this film, ever blinks.
Yeah.
To just make him more creepy, and then he kind of films those accidents, and then kind of changes also parts of the crime scene, or breaks into places just so he can get a better shot. And he's very immoral, and then kind of gets...
drags bodies around and stuff.
Yeah, and he gets like an intern. He's like very fucking strict, and like, this is business, this is how we do it, and does like impossible things. They're never okay, and like he becomes such a bold, like, and even maybe even not really corrupt, but he's a corrupted person. Let's call it that. But like such an evil person, just how he talks to people and what he wants from life, and he doesn't bullshit around. So this is what I want. This is how you get it, and if you don't like it, fuck off.
Yeah.
In a way, and he does it, and he's such a scary person because in the beginning you just see him breaking into places, and you see that he's like, and he lies. He's like absolute constant liar. If anybody asks him about something, he just lies. Like, where does this come from? There and there, and doesn't even like blink an eye.
Yeah.
Yeah, and that's why this film is just, it's so unnerving.
It is.
It's such a great performance. And there are other films, like I put Prisoners at my 3, and I prefer Prisoners as a film, but Nightcrawler is just, what a fucking performance. And just, you see this guy, and it's like a person that I've never seen before in a film.
Yeah.
And
That's
he does
very
it
true.
better than I could imagine anybody else. Like DiCaprio or something like that. Great actors, but I couldn't see them in this role.
Yeah. Yeah, I agree. And it's got like some of the most tense scenes in film that I remember. That
Yeah.
scene where they're like at this, they're stuck in this diner,
Yeah.
whatever it is, with the intern as well. It's just, you're just on the edge of your seat the whole time.
Yeah.
It's quite remarkable that this movie works, and that's a testament to, obviously, the filmmakers, I think Dan Gilroy directed and wrote this, but I think it's really a testament to Jake Gyllenhaal.
And I think it's also, like, in pretty much every one of these films, he's, even if, like, the protagonist is always kind of a good guy in some way. He's never really a bad guy, but this is one of the few films that I know where the villain is the main character.
Yeah.
And it's never apologized for. It's never like, oh, he's about to get his due. No, he just gets better at what he does.
Yeah, yeah.
And even more ruthless.
Yep.
It's like in a way what Suicide Squad should have been like, just villains being villains. Just, I know it's a completely different film.
What a
but,
comparison, yeah.
but I think it's like a genre it's very much missing from mainstream television or cinema.
Yeah.
Bad guys being the protagonist, and I mean, it's just a fascinating psychological thing to kind of get behind and wrap your head around.
Yeah.
Because it's rarely that a bad guy is the bad guy to even towards the end of the film. Like often, like, oh, I kind of get why I was wrong. Oh my god, I have to be better, or now I save somebody. But no, throughout the film, he's just the worst person that you could ever meet.
Yeah. Yeah, absolutely. Well said. Well said. I agree.
All right, what's your number 2? I'm excited.
Yeah, dude. I mean, I'm looking at it, and 1 and 2 are interchangeable for me, and
All
I'm
right.
just going to stick with what I wrote down. My number 2 is Prisoners.
All right, dude. Yeah.
Yeah, I know. Controversial maybe, and now you know what my number 1 is. We'll get to it.
And dude, I'm not sure.
We'll get to it. Let's talk about Prisoners. In my opinion, like I just talked about Zodiac being a crime, like one of the best crime investigation films.
Yeah.
I think Prisoners is right up there too. It is somewhat different in
His
the way.
character is so different.
No, for sure,
Yeah.
but it's also like the way. I think Zodiac is much more like police heavy work,
Yeah.
and Prisoners is more like it's a father who's trying to find his missing child.
Yeah.
Played by Hugh Jackman, who's also fantastic in this film. But then obviously Jake Gyllenhaal, who plays Detective Loki, who then also wants to help figure out what the hell is going on and where these missing children are, because two families, their children are missing. And I mean, also directed by Denis Villeneuve.
Yeah,
we talked about
like we said.
Enemy, on Enemy, and
Great director. And it's,
fantastic, dude.
and I think they both, Enemy and Prisoners came out the same year. Prisoners a little earlier, although
Yeah.
Enemy was made earlier than that.
Mhm.
And dude, it just, I hope they work together again, because like one of the
They
best
will.
directors, one of the best actors,
Yeah.
and he's like such a badass. And he's not like a badass in like, I don't know, Max Payne, not Max Payne, Mad Max, or like
Max
I
Payne
know
is
somebody
a
like-
badass.
also, yes.
Yeah.
But yeah, I don't know, like somebody in Fast and Furious, or like those over the top badass. He's like so, he doesn't say a lot necessarily, but when he does, and just his presence is such an authority figure in what he does, and he just knows what he does, and
Yeah.
such a cool character. fuck me.
But you could also
So
say the same
cool.
thing about Hugh Jackman's character, like just in
Of
terms
course,
of his
and-
presence and authority and stuff, because this is a guy who's like completely losing his mind for the right reasons. But
And it's perfect. Just,
Yeah.
I mean, that's how you would imagine you would react. Maybe not. Maybe you would be completely in shock. But that's how you would think you would react. And, I mean, the prime suspect in this film is Paul Dano.
yes,
Who plays this very, maybe like even mentally retarded a bit. I don't know if that's the politically right word for it. I'm sorry if it's not. But
yeah,
and he's just almost childlike. But he's like found in the RV very much at the beginning, who they think the children disappeared in.
yes.
And he stays like the prime suspect.
What a tense scene that is, right? Where just walking down the street and just sort
Yeah.
of looking around that van.
And there's a scene where Hugh Jackman, I think, is watching him because he's convinced that he took the children. And you think he's like this childlike and kind of sweet character at times. And you just see him walking the dog and he just pulls on the leash and kind of chokes the dog for a bit and then just lets him go again and then walks normally.
Yeah.
And you just see how mentally distraught he is. And just, I think Prisoners is one of the films, it's tense all the way through.
Yeah.
You cannot let go. It's just so tense, especially when you don't pause it. I think you really shouldn't, because it's like this very tense feeling that you have throughout the film, but it's perfectly done. If another film does that, I think just keeps you on your toes all the time, you kind of get bored, I think, or just it's maybe gets a bit too much, but this film paces perfectly.
I agree.
Yeah.
And I think the other thing that sort of elevates this from the other crime films is that you got so many scenes that stick with you. You got that scene where they torture the main suspect in that bathroom, or not bathroom, but
I think it's a bathroom. It's
yeah.
like this building on construction.
Just
construction.
the things that the parents go through in order to figure out what the hell happened to their children are just literally incredible. And also you got that scene. You got the scene where Jake's character, he also confronts another suspect, and then he finds all these boxes in his apartment, where I'm not going to say what's in it now, but your mind sort of plays a trick on you there. You're like, oh my God, what is happening? And then the sort of interrogation scene with that suspect. Just so many scenes that stick with you, which is just a testament to great filmmaking. And also like the very end. I know some people don't like that. I think
it's great.
I don't love it. The very, very end. No, I don't love it. But I don't hate it. I'm just like, okay. I'm sort of torn with that one. I don't quite know why they would end it there. It's like, I don't quite understand that. And also, I think sort of the reveal of what actually happened in this film, and this might also be controversial, I don't think that the story, the reveal, is sort of what sells the movie. It's more of this the path that leads to it, because the reveal is
setup,
like the reveal is like, okay.
I think it's also pretty great. It kind of shows you, it kind of calls back to a couple of scenes earlier.
Yeah, no, for
also
sure.
With the boxes.
Yeah, it is very smart, of course. Yeah, I know. But it's sort of, I think the path is more interesting than the actual goal.
Yeah, but just talking about Jake Gyllenhaal, because this is a great role of his, and I don't want to say exactly what the scene is about, but towards the end when he's driving the car, and I think you know what I mean.
Not yet.
All right.
At the very end. Yeah. Oh, dude, what a scene!
And the thing is, the first time I seen it, I saw it in the cinema. I was on a date. Great date, by the way.
Oh, really? Wow. Yeah. Tell us more.
The thing is, in that scene, when I rewatched the film like a year ago or something like that, or 2 years ago.
Yeah.
The thing is, I knew what would happen, but I was still so I was on the edge of my bed, and I just, I don't know. It's amazing. I don't know.
I agree. I remember I watched this with my dad at the cinema, and one of my favorite movie-going experiences, just because of the film is just incredible. I love Prisoners, man. I think everyone has to watch Prisoners. They should watch it if they want to watch a great crime film with stellar performances.
Yeah, definitely.
Right. What's your number? Oh, well, I guess I know what your number one is.
Yeah, I think it's quite obvious now.
Yeah, it is for me. I think everyone else might have forgotten already.
All right. The thing is, everybody who knows me, I've talked about this film. I'm very sure I've talked about this film with pretty much everyone, because everybody knows I'm a huge fan of this, and it's one of my favorite movies of all time.
Yeah.
And it's Donnie Darko. the thing is about this film, I love it. It's like a 10 out of 10 for me. But I looked it up and I haven't seen like 4 years almost.
Right.
I used to watch the first time I watched it. Used to watch like daily, and at times like 3 times a day. I was obsessed with this film.
You watched this movie 3 times a day.
There were like 2 days in a row that I watched it 2 to 3 times a day.
Wow. Yeah.
I don't know why. And then it was like pretty much every day, like weekly. I think in like about a month I've seen it nearly 20 times.
Right.
I don't know why.
It's a testament to the film.
It is. I got obsessed with this film, and I think I saw it at the right time when I was like in the right mindset in my life when I was like 14, 15.
Yeah.
And it just gripped me, and I was like, all right, I love this film, but I haven't seen it in some time. And I don't know, I watched it so many times. I don't know if I even like it. I think if it's even that great anymore. It's just I built up that much in my head.
Right.
So I was kind of hesitant to rewatch it because I just got what your number one is. Sorry.
I'm glad, yeah.
Yeah, but I rewatched it and I don't know why, but I just fell back into it. For me, this isn't a film anymore.
What do you mean you don't know why? You've always loved it.
I know, but I don't know what it is about this film that, I mean, there's some things that I love, but I don't know why after so many years of watching it and watching it again, and I know every beat of the story.
You just love Patrick Swayze.
I do.
Yeah.
But just seeing it, and I don't know, this is not a film for me. When I see this, I do not feel like I'm seeing a film. This is just an experience, and every time it feels so personal. And he is fucking great in this film. Jake Gyllenhaal sells this film so much.
Yeah.
But the thing is, it's not his greatest performance. It's quite an early performance. It came out in 2001. He was like, I don't know.
21.
Yeah, 21. I don't know
yeah.
when they filmed it. So it's like 1920 or something like that when they filmed it.
They filmed it in 1920. That's a great joke. I like that I have complimenting myself. That's a great joke.
But yeah, it's got a cool cast. Also, like, yeah, Patrick Swayze. It's got the very first feature film performance by Seth Rogen, and it's the very first line in
That's
any
not a
movie
selling point. Yeah,
is "I like your boobs."
Yeah, and that's when you fell in love with the film.
But he kind of plays the school bully, which is not a role he usually plays now.
Yeah, now he's more the one who gets bullied. Well, I don't know.
Well, he's like the cool stoner guy, I guess.
Very true. Yeah,
but I don't know. Yeah, this film. Sorry, if you don't know what the fuck this film is about, I think everybody's heard about it. I don't know if everybody's seen it, but it's about Donnie Darko, a young guy who's still in school, like 17 years old or something like that, and he wakes up one night and he kind of sleepwalks and hears this voice and says, "Follow me." Closer, closer, and then he kind of sees this guy in a bunny costume, in a very creepy bunny costume. It's got like this very weird face, very scary looking, and tells him that the world is going to end in 28 days, 6 hours, 42 minutes, and 12 seconds. And I was so proud that I still remembered that number after so many years. And and while he's kind of talking to the bunny, a jet engine from a plane falls exactly into his room, and it would have killed him, but he wasn't at home. And after that happens, he kind of keeps seeing this bunny and has weird visions, and the bunny tells him to do stuff. And kind of a countdown begins to the 28 days, 6 hours, 42 minutes, 12 seconds later, which is around Halloween.
Yes.
And I think it's got a great reveal, and it's great ending, and just the scenes that happen throughout the film are just amazing. And the very end of the film got spoiled for me. Before I even watched it, my brother was like, "Dude, what a cool film. Check out the ending. It's such a cool scene." I was like, all right, cool. and then I watched it later, and I knew what would happen towards the end, but I still loved it. And I credit this film for doing two things for me. I'm sorry, I'm going such a rant, but
no.
Such
No, you're not.
Big
no,
film for me.
All good.
But the thing is, it introduced me to Joy Division, which I was a huge fan. I heard him before that, but
yeah,
there's like Love Will Tear Us Apart plays in this film, and I heard Joy Division before that through my brothers. But this is what really made me aware of them, and I became obsessed with Joy Division for a time, like obsessed. I got the albums and I looked everything out, watched the movie, which is also great, read the book, everything, and it also introduced me to Echo and the Bunnymen. Great band, which I still love. Some of the great albums. And yeah, but the thing is, this film, if you watch it, and I have to really emphasize that, watch the director's cut.
I was waiting for that. Yeah.
Yeah, because I always watch the director's cut. It's like the popular version. It came out like 3 years later in 2004. And it is the best version, because I watched this film so many times director's cut, and then I saw it in theatrical version, and I didn't really like it. It was alright because it was Donnie Darko, but it really shows you how freaking important post-production and editing is, because it is the same film, but a couple of different scenes, it's a couple of different edits and different music they put in there, and just the special effects are a bit different, and it just makes or breaks the film.
Yeah.
So do yourself a favor, and when you check it out, choose the director's cut. It's a completely different film, I think. So yeah. Sorry, what are your thoughts on?
I like Donnie Darko.
We watched it together for the first. I showed it to you.
Yeah,
we watched it at your place.
No, dude, I can't add anything to that. I was struggling to put it on the list.
Yeah,
because I also haven't seen it in a while. That's the last time I saw it with you, and I only saw it once. So I know how much this means to you, and who am I to sort of add anything to that? I mean, if you don't want to watch it after your plea or your statement there, I'm not gonna, you're not gonna, after me saying it's a good film yet. It's got a nice cellar door. I remember is one of the good words
with Drew Barrymore.
With Drew Barrymore, yeah. Yeah. I mean, I know it's visually very, very cool, and I like the twists and turns. I like that.
Yeah,
I remember.
And I mean, the film. Sorry, I just have to add a couple of things more. Just the sound effects, just the sound editing in this film are amazing. There's this one scene where he like sees Frank, the bunny, in his bathroom after he like takes his pills because he's a schizophrenic, and has to take his pills, and then he kind of sees Frank, and he reaches out his hand to touch him, but there's this invisible wall, and the sound this wall makes is just such a cool scene. Then later with the knife, and every time I see this scene, I get goosebumps. Or another one where he's like at this psychiatrist, and then towards the end, and he screams. I don't know if you remember.
The lightning or thunder or something like that?
No, it's like a mild spoiler, and I'm just gonna say it. Listen away for like 5 seconds. He's in a psychiatrist's office, and he talks about Frank, and he's just screams, "I can see him right now!" And then he cuts to Frank just standing in the middle of the room with like the sound effect, looking at him, really creepily.
How is that a spoiler?
I don't know, like if you anticipate it, it's maybe not.
Oh right, you're just taking away the scare, maybe. Yeah.
Yeah, but I've seen it probably more than 40 times over like the 8 years that I've seen this film.
Yeah.
And I still get goosebumps, and it still kind of strikes me. So
it also got like, doesn't his real life sister play his sister in this movie, Maggie?
Yeah, Maggie Gyllenhaal. That's right.
Yeah, that's the one thing I can add.
Just check out the film. I mean, it shows so much promise in what Jake Gyllenhaal does later in his acting, and he's great for his age, and it's an amazing film. Yeah. Maybe not his best performance, just seeing. He got older, he got better at his craft, and he's just an amazing actor now. But it's just such a cool scene, such a cool film to see him where he was at that age and how much he could do. And it's just a cult classic.
It is.
Yeah.
It is.
All right. What's your best thing that you've seen from Jake Gyllenhaal?
Oh, that's right. Well, it has to be now Nocturnal Animals.
Yeah.
Which was also the best thing that I've seen on our Amy Adams special. And it's difficult because we had that on the Emma Stone special as well, where you said my number one she didn't really have a lot of screen time in that. And I kind of know, because when you talked about Nocturnal Animals, you mentioned that Jake is not really in it for that much. I mean, he kind of is, but it's
I was kind of wrong. I think because the last time I saw it before, when we talked about it in the Amy Adams special, was in the cinema, and I just rewatched it like a couple of days for the first time.
Yeah.
So he's in there more than I thought he was.
Yeah. I mean, I just love this movie for its concept and for its director. I fell in love with Tom Ford after I saw this movie, who's obviously the director of this film, is a fashion designer, a very acclaimed fashion designer with, as I think I mentioned it on the Amy Adams special, with one of the greatest voices I've ever heard. If you want to listen to some interviews, just listen to this guy talk. It's incredible. Very, very charming guy. And he made 2 films so far. He made A Single Man with Colin Firth, and now he made Nocturnal Animals. And I just hope he's going to do something again soon, because he tends to take a long time to make movies, unfortunately, but they turn out great. And Nocturnal Animals, it's what I love about it is basically Amy Adams gets sent the script written by her ex-husband, Jake Gyllenhaal, and then she reads the script, and we as the viewer get to see the script she reads as a film inside a film. And there's just so many visual things that are so genius because, for example, there's a painting in their house, in Amy Adams' house, and then a scene that plays out in the film looks like the painting because she sort of visualizes the painting as the setting for the scene.
Yeah, the one with the guy with the shotgun.
I think so. Yeah,
like this photograph. Or
yeah. And I just love that aspect because once things are revealed throughout the story, why he sent her that script, once things are revealed as to how their relationship ended, it sort of makes more and more sense, the story that he wrote. And she sees parallels between the story and their relationship. And what I also love is that there's a character in the script who is played by Isla Fisher. And there's always like this funny,
so cool.
It's always like Amy Adams always gets confused with Isla Fisher in real life. And I love that the character inside the screenplay, she is supposed to be Amy Adams' character, but is played by Isla Fisher, which I just think is such a smart little wink to the audience.
But it's also such a cool thing because, like you said, it's like what she imagines to read.
Yep.
That's why the main character looks like her ex-husband,
Yep.
Jake Gyllenhaal, and why maybe she imagines the woman, who's also a redhead, to look so much like her. Like she imagines someone like herself, but not herself in the script. Which is,
And where Jake shines in this film is sort of as the protagonist of the script story, as a guy who, we have to mention, obviously, Michael Shannon is in this, and Aaron Taylor Johnson, who's maybe the star of the film as the villain,
and
as
gets
Roy.
Completely snubbed at the Oscars.
Yeah, it's funny because he won the Globes.
Yeah.
And he wasn't even nominated.
Yeah.
No, Shannon was nominated for the Oscar though.
Yeah, but he was on, but not for the Golden Globes.
Yeah,
it's so weird that they kind of switched it up. I mean, he's amazing. I love him.
Ray, sorry, not Roy. Aaron Taylor Johnson plays Ray. Just a guy who, there's this one, I think it's like 15 plus minute long scene where they're like on a highway and Ray, the character, sort of ambushes them and incredibly Jake Gyllenhaal's daughters. I think it's
daughter and wife.
Daughter and wife. And incredible scene, such a tense scene, and then the story is sort of about him getting revenge on Ray for what he did in that scene. And
I mean, honestly, that scene, I was actually afraid to rewatch this film. That scene was such a heavy scene when I saw it in the cinema.
Yeah,
and it just had such an impact on me, and I just felt that scene. For just when we watched it, I was so uncomfortable, like I rarely am during films, and I was afraid to rewatch the film because the scene. I mean, if you make it to over like the half-hour mark, you kind of made it, and then it's not as bad. But that scene is just brutal. Just
it is
an absolute nightmare, and you're like, dude, get out! What is happening? Just please help them! Somebody fucking help them! And it's just you're screaming inside your head because it's such an intense scene. Fuck me.
And he plays that sort of desperation.
Yeah,
really well, Jake Gyllenhaal.
And what are you supposed to do in that scene?
I know,
Just, yeah, absolutely,
yeah. And we talked about it as well on the Amy Adams special. I mean, the opening scene alone,
great scene.
I mean, it just takes you aback. What the hell is going on? What are we watching here? I mean, as things are revealed, then why he sends her that script, and sort of, as I mentioned, things. It's just incredible.
A film that I think we've discussed this before, but it's been years since then, like 2 years or something like that. Mm-hmm. And I would love to discuss the ending with you again because it's quite not controversial, but like it's very much up to interpretation why this happened.
It is,
and I would love to talk about it with you. I don't know if you. I mean, we've very much. It's been a long episode. I don't know if you want to talk about in this episode, but at some point I would love to discuss with you.
Yeah, I feel like, and I also really that is something that I don't want to spoil because even if we now put it in the time codes, maybe some people just. I think we haven't spoiled anything massively in this episode so far, have we? What was the one spoiler thing we did?
For Zodiac, but it's not that
Right,
bad.
right.
But yeah.
Yeah. Once again, Zodiac. I mean, the big spoiler of the film is that they haven't found the Zodiac killer in real life, and that's not a spoiler. If you know that going in, then
I think it's even better if you know it, because it can be quite disappointing. It's like,
Right.
oh, who is it? Who is it? And they have there's like a big theory on who it is, and
Yeah.
you feel like this person it is, but just seeing the end credits and seeing it for the first time on the song would but like they never caught him. So what's kind of the point, you think, for a moment? But if you know that going in, it makes it even more interesting.
absolutely, that's very well said.
Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, that's my number one. That's the best thing I've seen.
It's an amazing film, and I
yeah.
would love to have put it higher on my list. It's a number 5, but as a film, I preferred over Brokeback Mountain, maybe even over Nightcrawler. It's hard to say.
Yeah,
but
dude,
yeah.
I agree. Performance-wise, if we were to talk about performances, it's always difficult to balance performance and movie. I think Nightcrawler would be higher on my list too.
Yeah.
But he's done so many great performances and movies. What do you got on your honorables to wrap this up? Because
So
we have
many
been
films.
going a while.
Yeah, like Wildlife, of course.
Yeah.
Sisters Brothers, Proof, Jarhead.
I thought Sisters Brothers would make your list.
I would have. I loved the film, but like Jake Gyllenhaal was again not especially my highlight. He wasn't in that as much, and I just loved the film because of Joaquin Phoenix and
John C. Reilly?
John C. Reilly. Thank you.
Yeah.
And yeah, I did love the film, but I think there were other films just again performance-wise that I would want to put ahead of it.
Yeah.
So yeah, it was as my number 9. That it was mostly between Demolition and Wildlife.
Gotcha. I mean,
What about your?
Yeah, we talked about. You mentioned, or we talked about maybe all of my honorables except one. I just want to give a quick mention to The Good Girl. That was a
that's
tough
the
cut,
one.
dude. Have you seen that?
Dude, I want to watch it. Like the 4 films that I hadn't watched that I really want to watch before doing this was The Good Girl, October Sky, Moonlight Mile, and The Bubble Boy.
Yeah,
Or
but
Bubble Boy.
I was going to say, for example, Bubble Boy and Moonlight Mile. I don't think those movies had any chance of making a list. I haven't seen them either. I haven't seen them either.
Dustin Hoffman, like.
Yeah, but I don't even know if he's got a big role in that. I think he's like his son, isn't he? Maybe. I'm completely
he's
wrong.
on the poster and he's like the second or third one built.
Yeah, maybe I'm wrong. Maybe I'm wrong. I haven't seen that one either. But The Good Girl, I mean, that was one of those films where it's like Jennifer Aniston and Jake Gyllenhaal made a movie together in 2002. It's like, what? How is no one talking about this film? And it's actually really good. And it also stars John C. Reilly, for example. I just want to give a quick rundown of the cast because it was ridiculous. It was also ridiculous. You got Jake Gyllenhaal, Jennifer Aniston. You got Zoe Deschanel as a very, very small role. Then you got John Carroll Lynch, who's also in Zodiac.
Yeah.
The guy we met in real life.
Dude. Yeah, he's just perfect for that role.
Yeah.
And sorry. Just keep talking. I would just want to give 2 fun facts to Zodiac after you're done.
Yeah, no, it's got John C. Reilly, Tim Blake Nelson.
Really? I think he's a cool actor.
He's incredible. And Mike White is in this. And he also wrote this. Mike White is the guy who also wrote School of Rock. He's Ned Schneebly, the original Ned Schneebly. You know who you know who he is, right?
No, I don't.
No,
I just
the guy who
that name.
No,
who is he?
Jack Black's friend who he impersonates. He pretends to be Ned Schneebly and works at the school.
Yeah. That's why
Yeah, he's also in The Good Girl. And just to wrap up The Good Girl, this is a movie where I genuinely didn't know how this movie was going to end. The whole time I was like, interesting. I have no idea where this movie is going. And it does actually have some Woody Allen movie vibes where it takes some
cool.
dark turns that I didn't expect.
I think Jake
Really good
Gyllenhaal
movie.
would have been perfect for a Woody Allen film.
Well, it's not too late.
Yeah, I don't know if he likes him.
And for example, it's also The Good Girl is directed by I wrote this down, Miguel Arteta, who did Youth in Revolt, a movie that I know you've seen as
cool
well.
film.
Yeah. I mean, there you go.
And just 2 very short fun facts about Zodiac. First of all, he got cast in Zodiac because of The Good Girl. Because apparently Fincher and Jennifer Aniston are friends, and he was like, "Do you know who was like your favorite actors that you've worked with?" And she said
interesting.
Jake Gyllenhaal, and they're apparently very good friends, Gyllenhaal and Jennifer Aniston.
Yeah.
So that's why he got cast. And second of all, because you said John Carroll Lynch, he got cast also in this film because there are real life recordings from who they think is the Zodiac killer. Because he like called like the police station or other places, and they apparently talked to him for a short time or something like that. All right, that's he like called a 911 operator at some point or something like that, and they actually got her to like listen to recordings from audition tapes and asked who sounds the most like the Zodiac killer,
Wow.
and she said, "That guy."
Yeah. Wow.
That might have been a bit of a spoiler right there. Let's put it.
No, because you said the name before. It's Arthur Lee Allen, and as soon as Arthur Lee Allen enters the frame, yeah, we'll see.
Who do they think it is?
Yeah. Who do you think
Then
it is?
again, it's not sure if it actually the 911 call was like the Zodiac killer, because the Zodiac killer is like they weren't sure how many people they actually killed, what is real, what isn't.
Yeah.
And dude, there's also such a cool fun fact about Zodiac, but fuck it. We're over time, and also maybe a mild spoiler.
Cool. Okay. Well, if it's a spoiler, then no.
It's not really a spoiler, but it's like makes the movie even cooler.
Go on.
All right, you see a couple of attacks from the Zodiac killer. Mild spoiler ahead. In every one of those attacks, somebody survived, because David Fincher only wants to take scenes where somebody actually survived, so they could have an
They could retell
realistic
the story.
retelling of what actually happened.
Genius at work.
Yeah.
Genius at work. And just Jarhead, I watched this as well for this. I thought it was fine. I did not love this.
It's a cool, very well-made war film.
Yeah. I mean, it's got also Chris Cooper again. But as we said, they
The
worked
drill
together.
sergeant, right?
No, the drill sergeant was someone else, but he's also someone who works for the Marines.
All right.
Yeah.
Dude,
Yeah.
What a guy.
Jesus.
There's so many things we can keep on talking.
Yeah. I mean, we have been going for a while. This is going to be a bitch to edit.
Yeah. With like, let's keep it like, I don't know, 120. We're
Yeah.
like, I think 140.
Yeah, we'll see how much I'll edit out. But
All right.
yeah,
A couple of assos from you.
that's right. But yeah, we hope this list showed how great of an actor, or we sort of got across how much we love Jake Gyllenhaal and how much his filmography is something to seek out. We haven't talked about any shows because he's not been a part of shows, and I thought about putting on some YouTube videos, but then again, I wanted to. I mean, his movies are just
films,
incredible. Yeah.
You have to talk about them.
Yeah, so please check out some of the films. Maybe we showed you a few films that you haven't heard of before, and or maybe just ones you have heard of before but didn't have on your watch list. Maybe you want to give them a go now. They're certainly worth your time, in my opinion.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Nice.
We'll be back with another regular episode next week. And please just spread the word. If you like this episode, let us know, let other people know, and leave likes and subscriptions and follows and everything. We appreciate it a lot, and it helps us out a lot.
Yeah, and once again, check us out on YouTube. Maybe give us a like and a subscribe. And on YouTube or on Instagram, you can see the cover art that Flo is going to design, the poor guy, with a couple of cool pictures of Jake Gyllenhaal and some of his iconic roles. So
Yes.
check it out. And yeah, Instagram and Twitter, Best Thing Radio, if you want to follow us. And otherwise, Best Thing We've Seen podcast on Apple, YouTube, Spotify, pretty much anywhere where podcasts are available.
Right.
So thank you so much for listening. I've been looking forward to this episode so much, and it's been a blast.
Yes, I think we covered most of his career.
Yeah, I think so too.
Yeah, it's been a good one. We'll be back next week.
Right.
Have a good
Have
week.
a great day.
Bye-bye.
Day, whatever. Bye.
Cook something good.